How's it going? Welcome to this step-by-step video. Be under no illusions, this video is probably going to be the most important video that you're going to watch this year, even if I do say so myself. And the reason being is because without knowing these numbers, we don't know how much food to eat. If we don't know how much food to eat, we don't know how to create the calorie deficit that you need in order to lose weight. And you'll constantly be going around chasing your tail for the rest of the year, having problem after problem, and checking in every week with regards to results and assessments, and just being depressed all the time about not getting anywhere. I want to put that to bed, and I want to make sure that that doesn't happen from this point onwards. So we need to calculate roughly how many calories that you need on a day-to-day basis. So what I like to do is I like to use this particular website you can see here, which is caloriecalculator.net. It's actually calculator.net/calorie calculator. But anyway, you can Google it and obviously it'll take you straight to that site. Now, let's just go through this step by step, because I want to, make sure that you understand this in its entirety, because like I said, it's super, super important. So let's say, for example, I'm 30 years old. Let's say, for example, I'm a male, and let's say, for example, I'm, 5'11", and let's say, for example, so this is in pounds here. What I like to do is, convert that from, so I'm familiar with kilograms, so let's say, for example, we go on to a different website where we convert kilograms to pounds. And let's say, for example, I know that I'm, 87 kilograms. Right, so that's 191 pounds straight away. Brilliant. So we've got 191 pounds. And there's two ways that you can do this next step, this drop-down section. So what happens is, this basically works on an equation. And you can basically enter the amount of activity you do on a weekly basis, exercise-wise. This is sort of physical activity. So if you're training like an elite athlete or something like that, you might want to put extra active or very active, intense exercise 6 to 7 times a week. A lot of us aren't going to be doing that. So let's say, for example, we do a moderate amount of exercise. You do 4 sessions per week. You've got the option right now to follow 2 different types of strategies, and it's up to you which one you do. So if you don't want to have to worry about logging your exercise calories based, so let's say you do 4 sessions a week and you burn off 500 calories in each session. On those days, in theory, you should be able to consume an additional 500 calories if you wish. Now, some people like that idea because they're matching their calories each day based on the amount of energy they're expending. Having said that, some people, on the other hand, they don't want to be, messing around sort of, Monday, what's my calories? Tuesday's a different number, Wednesday's back a bit lower, and then Thursday I'm training again, so it's going to be a different number again. So what this website does for you is assumes that you train 4 times a week and then works that out. It averages it out on a daily basis for you, so you've got one number to remember over the week. So let's say, for example, we do it that way. Now, here's what it's got for you. Here's the predictions for you. So to lose 1 pound per week, 2,200 calories. Extreme weight loss, it's not extreme weight loss. I think that's probably not the right word to use there. 2 pounds a week is not extreme weight loss. It's definitely, much more rapid for sure. But it's definitely, I'm more than happy for anybody to be losing 2 pounds a week. That's not an issue. Any more than that, and we're probably going to compromise your ability to stay consistent, essentially long term, because you'll be too hungry, too low on energy, not recovering well, etc., etc., and you'll throw the towel in. So, loosely, try not to go over a weight loss rate of 2 pounds per week on a regular basis. Anyway, so let's say, for example, this has already taken into consideration my age, my height, that I'm male, that I'm training 4 to 5 times moderately per week, and these are the figures. Now, having said that, what I like to do, personally speaking, is actually set this to sedentary, little or no exercise. So if I calculate that now, my calories are a lot lower now. Now, for me personally, this works because without exercise, I know the numbers that I need to be hitting. So let's say, for example, I'm going to lose £1 per week, and I'm going to consume in and around 1,600 calories per day. If we just round this figure up a little bit, just for ease of maths. And let's say, for example, I'm going to train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I know that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, this is the number that I need to be hitting to lose £1 per week. I also know that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I burn off an extra 500 calories per session. So I can actually consume 1,200 on those days. So I hope this is all making sense. That's the method I would prefer. If you prefer to not have to think about those numbers, on a day-to-day basis, works for me because I'm a lot more hungry on my exercise days, and it gives me extra calories to spend on things like protein and really super nutrient-dense foods for recovery, and I can actually basically add in an extra meal that day. So that works for me. If you don't want to do that and you just want to average it out for the week, that's also fine. Just do what we did earlier, and just on the activity section, just enter that you're doing like 3 to 4 sessions or whatever works best for you. Now, lastly, before we round this up, I want you to understand that this is an estimate. This is not a perfect, watertight scientific strategy to give you absolute crystal clear laser beam figures. This is a website that's got an equation behind it, and it's just a standard equation, and roughly speaking, it has a good level of accuracy for the vast majority of people. Now, having said that, there will be a slight inaccuracy. Actually, in order to lose that weight, I might need to be having, 1,450 calories or something like that, 1,450 calories, actually, in reality. It might be that it's sort of estimating it the other way, and I could actually consume 1,700 calories per day and lose £1 per week. But generally speaking, this will give you a really good benchmark to aim for. Now, of course, we want the results. Of course, you want to be as accurate as physically possible. So what we do is we stick with this figure here, and we stick with it for at least 4 weeks. And you assess your weight loss rate over that 4 weeks. Over the 4 weeks, if it says that actually you're losing 0.75 pounds per week on average, great. Okay, so you need to actually be consuming a little bit less because this is slightly out. If you're losing, 1.5 pounds per week, actually, you can consume a bit more, and so on and so forth. So the only way that we can accurately measure exactly how many calories without the use of expensive equipment and lab facilities and things like that is to basically use these figures that I've just showed you here and how to work out, and stay consistent with them for around about a month and see what your rate of weight loss is on average. That'll give you the exact number that you need, basically, to understand, am I losing £1 per week as this shows? So we can assess your results basically through your rate of weight loss week in, week out. Don't assess it over 1 week or 2 weeks, because your weight can fluctuate as a result of many different factors, from fluid retention. You could have a particularly carb dense meal and have lots of carb storage within your muscle tissue and your liver, and that uses up water molecules as well, for example. So and then you could step on the scales the next day, you could have actually put on a pound, when in reality you've lost a pound of body fat that week. It's just fallen at the wrong time for you to weigh yourself that particular week. Having said that, if we do it over sort of 4 or 5 weeks and then average it out over that, then that should give you a much more accurate figure. Now, just before I go, there's one last point that I want to make. There's a magic figure of 1,200 calories that in theory we shouldn't be going under. Now, this really has to be a personal thing. Obviously, we don't want to be super restrictive. The more you restrict your calories, the less chance you have of hitting lots and lots of the nutrient targets that we need to meet on a day-to-day basis. So in order for you to hit your iron intakes, you have to eat a certain amount of food that contains iron. If you're restricting your food intakes, you're therefore limiting the chances of you actually meeting them recommended iron intakes, and so on and so forth, for calcium, for iodine, and all the other micronutrients as well. So restricting too much is never going to be a good thing. Not just because of the potential deficiencies that we can land ourselves with, but also for the purpose of consistency over time. If you're restricting yourself too much, you are not going to lose weight week in, week out for 20 weeks, 30 weeks, if you need to do it for that long. At the end of the day, you'll be over restricting yourself, and like I said, you'll be throwing the towel in after a week or two because you've been far too restrictive. So again, this is a personalized thing. There's not really any right or wrong answer. 1,200 calories per day, is probably a maximum, really, restriction wise. But some people do. On every now and again, they'll consume 1,000 calories and feel full that day. If it's a bit of a one-off, don't worry about it. It's no issue whatsoever. But on average, as long as you're hitting these figures and we're not being overly restrictive, I wouldn't like to see too many people going any lower than sort of 1,200-1,300 calories per day, really. Providing that you're staying safe, you're consuming lots of nutrient-dense foods and hitting these figures, you'll be healthy, you'll be happy, and smashing out results week in, week out. So, hope this helps you. Hopefully this all makes sense. Now that you've got these figures, you could enter that into MyFitnessPal and go from there and start logging your intakes and having some fantastic weight loss results. So, hope this helps, and I'll see you on another video.